In the current guitar market, there has been an absolute explosion of boutique pedal builders that have just flooded the market, making it harder than ever to make the right choice when it comes to finding your pedal.
Hi puppy, got crusty.
We went from having 4 or 5 tried and true options for any one particular effect or sound to the modern equivalent of wading through a pool filled with turds to find that one golden nugget. Why would anybody fill a pool with turds? This is a horrible analogy. What I'm trying to say is there are a lot of choices on the market today. And while I am definitely a fan of having lots of choices and trying new things to find my own sound, sometimes it just sucks going through tons of pedals to get there. But with all that being said, there is one company who just seems to get it right time and time again. And that company is Lichtlaerm Audio out of Germany. And today we're gonna check out their modern take on the HM2 style pedal, the Medusa. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E-standard thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that are sweating profusely under their windbreaker that they wore for reasons that they cannot think of right now, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so another great day here on the channel because I get to check out a product from my friend Daniel over at Lichtlaerm. A modern take on the classic HM2 sound, but loaded with modern features that are actually usable. There are honestly no bells and whistles here. The way that this pedal was designed, everything works as intended and is very functional and is very usable. And if you have used Lichtlaerm pedals before, that should come as no surprise because Daniel just nails it every time out. But with all that being said, before I get too deeply into gushing about this pedal, this is a sponsored review, and I did not have to share this pedal with you guys. That was not in the stipulations when he sent this to me. He just wanted me to check it out, but I did like it enough to go ahead and make a video. And Moosey likes it too, don't you, buddy? All right, so a quick overview of the Lichtlaerm Medusa before we get into some sound samples. So obviously we already know that this is an HM2 style pedal, but what does it bring to the table that the others don't? Well, for one, it has a built-in gate. If you guys are already familiar with Lichtlaerm Audio, you're probably familiar with the key in the gate. That is their 4-cable method gate. They have been very popular for that pedal alone for quite some time because honestly, it's an excellent keyed input 4-cable method gate. So you essentially have that circuit built in here, but what we also have is a full 4-band parametric EQ as well as a sweepable mid-frequency here. So this will make a massive difference in the overall voicing of the mids of the pedal. We also have a cut control, and this cut control essentially acts as a tightness knob. So the more that we dial that cut control up, the tighter that our sound is gonna be, so you're not gonna get any flubby, farty, poopy doo-doo HM2 sounds out of this thing. On top of all that, we have a blend control, which essentially blends your clean guitar signal with the pedal signal, and it also blends the loop in. That's right, this pedal has a built-in loop, and this loop can be used to stack with other distortions, stack with overdrives. If you're really feeling like a weird idiot, you can also throw in effects, Daniel has told me. Now you guys know I am as simple as they come up here in the headspace, so I don't really mess around with effects too much, but if you guys want to get wild and crazy, you can throw a delay in here or some sort of modulation. But ideally, it was meant to blend with another style of distortion. But even if you don't have anything in that loop, that essentially just blends in how much of the flavor of the pedal is mixed with the clean signal of your guitar, and it really gives you a lot of control over how much of the flavor of this pedal you want in your overall signal path. And then finally down here on the bottom, we've got a modern and classic mode. Classic is going to be that HM2 sound that pretty much everybody is accustomed with. So if you were worried that this pedal wasn't gonna give you that classic Swedish chainsaw thing, fear not, because it's here in the classic mode. But if you want a more modernized version of that, Daniel's take is built into the modern side of the switch. It's a little cleaner, it's a little clearer, there's actually string definition, there's actually punch in the bottom end, and I find myself really digging that modern switch. So lots of really cool features. This pedal has a lot of gain and a lot of level. A lot! It's got a lot of level, so you can really push the front end of an amp. You can utilize this thing as not only an HM2 style distortion pedal, a standalone distortion pedal, but you can also use it as a boost. So if you want that HM2 tone on top of your existing amp gain of something like a 5150, you can do that, and it doesn't make it completely over the top. It doesn't make it gained and fuzzed out and completely indistinguishable. And that is why I love this pedal, because I can use it as an HM2 flavored boost with a built-in gate, and it can really give me some gnarly but manageable tones. I can still retain most of my note clarity, but still adding some of that Swedish chainsaw, that just ridiculously brutal HM2 sound into something that I am more accustomed to, like a 5150 or even like a hot rodded Marshall style tone. And that is what I think makes this pedal very special. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into some sound samples. All right guys, so I have the Medusa hooked up to my PV Classic 20 mini head as well as the EVH 5150 50 watt. The intro of this video, we were actually going into the gain channel of the PV Classic 20 mini head. We're gonna revisit that tone in just a minute. But the reason that I have this amp selected is I wanted to go into the clean channel of this and show you how this functions as a standalone distortion pedal. And then after that, we'll check it out on the gain channel here, and then we'll see how it really blends and just goes balls to the wall on one of the gain channels of the EVH. Because there's nothing that I like more than putting my balls against the wall. The guitar that I am currently using is my Solar E 2.6 something or other, TBR, of course. Why wouldn't those be the letters? This has the stock Solar Duncan pickup in it. We were not boosting the amp with any sort of devices, but what you were hearing was just the distortion of the pedal with the built-in gate going directly into the gain channel of the Classic 20 mini head. The cabinet that we are using today is my Palmer 212, and this has Celestion M65 creamback speakers in it. We have an SM57 on that creamback speaker where the dust cap meets the cone, and there will be absolutely no post-processing on any of the sounds that you hear in this video because that is sort of my thing. All right, so revisiting that intro tone, which I think was just absolutely gnarly. I was a huge fan of it. We are in drop B. And as you can hear, when I stop playing, it's silent. The pedal is not feeding back like crazy, even though we have a ton of gain going on between the pedal and the amp itself, and that is because of this built-in gate. If I turn this down, this is what every band that I've ever watched using an HM2 and failing miserably to control the noise has always dreamed of. But yeah, I went drop B because I feel like this pedal just oozes brutality. It definitely has that chainsaw thing going on, but it's controllable. But let's go ahead and switch over to a guitar in standard tuning because I have no business being in drop B. All right guys, I have my Balaguer Espada here, which is fucking with my camera and making me look super washed out. We have the Hypernova ceramic hot modern pickup in the bridge. Now this pickup has a lot of mids. It's really bringing that chainsaw thing out of this pedal. Just to show you how much of an effect this is having on our tone, I've turned the pedal off. Seriously, the amp sounds dead without it. We kick it in as a nice HM2 flavored boost. All right, so it sounds gnarly as hell, but now that we are in E standard, it definitely is cutting out way too much of the low end and is making it sound really anemic. So we can go into the parametric EQ here, we can boost that low, and we can roll this cut control back a little bit. I gotta say, dude, it is so refreshing. It makes me really happy to be able to get that kind of chainsaw grinding upper mid thing going on, but still have palm mute definition. The palm mutes are still punchy, and that is one thing that I've always hated about the HM2 sound for me personally. It sounds awesome when other bands use it. It sounds cool, but for me, I've always just missed the definition of those palm mutes. And part of that is basically attributable to the modern voicing that Daniel has worked into this pedal. It definitely allows for some more string clarity and stuff like that versus the classic, which you will see kind of muddies things up. It gives you a little bit more of that traditional chainsaw thing. Kind of has that broken up like 8-bit thing going on a little bit more. It's still punchy though, like because we are able to blend it and we're not 100%, we've got that blend at about 75%. We're still getting some of our actual regular guitar signal through, which is allowing us to get some more punch from the actual guitar, some more note definition from the guitar. But what happens when we actually dial the gain back on the amplifier? There's actually still a lot of gain going on because this pedal just has so much output. Here it is with it off. Honestly, that's pretty similar to like JCM 800 style levels of gain. We kick this pedal in and it's instant modern levels of gain, and it's totally silent because of that gate. But let's go ahead, let's go over to our clean channel. Let's turn the pedal off. And as you can see, we've got a regular clean sounding clean channel. Why would it not be that? It's a clean channel. Let's turn on the pedal, let's crank that gain up. All right, so things are pretty muddy now. Let's actually dial up that cut. So it definitely does the HM2 thing all day. Not my personal thing. Like, it's just too over the top for me. I like a little bit more punch and note clarity, definition. Let's go ahead and flip it over to the modern setting. As you can see, the modern setting, much cleaner. There's not as much crazy noise coming through. It's a little bit more round, I would say, in the low end, but that's what kind of makes it punchier on the gain channel. You can really make this pedal go absolutely crazy by going into that classic mode, dialing that grind all the way up, and I've noticed when you pull the mids all the way back, it just does something wild to it. Obviously, that's not really a usable sound, but it shows you that this pedal can get really wild by dialing these EQ controls to the extreme. You have a lot Let's get into this mid sweep though. I've got it dialed almost all the way up. Let's actually dial it back and go through the spectrum. I dialed the EQ back to a more tolerable setting, let's call it, and let's roll through this mid sweep. All right, so it really seems like the further you dial that mid sweep up, obviously it goes into those higher frequencies. It kind of brings some of that higher string definition through, which I personally am a fan of. I like basically being able to hear what I'm playing. And also the blend control, what happens if we dial it all the way off? And on. So like I said, this can be utilized as a standalone gate if you want to, as well as a standalone boost, or both. Even if you don't really want that HM2 sound, you can just use that blend control. So this thing has so many possibilities on tap. All right guys, blue channel of the EVH pedal off, and then I will turn it on. All right, so as you guys can hear, this thing is just an aggressive monster. Like seriously, this thing is ridiculous. Let's go ahead, let's dial up that blend to halfway. All right, so that's with the gain almost all the way up on the pedal. Let's bring it down to just above 0. All right, so that has given us a really nice kind of grindy mid-range thing going on. It's tightening things up. It's adding a whole lot of output. Let's bump the mids a little bit and the grind a little bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of that nastiness. I'm not usually into the HM2 stuff. I love how this sounds because it gives me what I like about the HM2, but it keeps things reasonable on the noise floor. It doesn't take away all of my low end or sound overly tubby. Like things are still balanced and I'm here for it. But let's switch over to the modern setting because I found that I like the modern setting even more than the classic on this pedal. All right guys, so just showing you that we can use this as a standalone gate if we want to. Here is the amp on the red channel. As you know, tons of gain. We are basically just cutting out the noise by using the gate. All right guys, finally, I'm gonna show you using this as a boost on the blue channel. I have it set up as you see here, and these were basically the settings that I thought it sounded the coolest. It still has that HM2 sound signature to it. It's definitely very grindy, but it is more clear, a little bit more reserved than your average HM2 style pedal when being used as a boost. So here's the amp with the pedal off. That is gonna do it for me today on the Lichtlaerm Audio Medusa. If you guys wanna pick this pedal up, I will link it below. It is currently €199, so that puts it around $215. So again, I will link down below in the description of this video if you guys would like to pick one up, and I want to hear your thoughts. What did you guys think about the tones that I got out of this pedal? And do you think that this is something that you could see yourself using? Are you an HM2 fan? Does this thing sound like a viable option for you? Or are you like me, where you're not really a huge fan of the HM2 sound, but this pedal does all the things that you like about an HM2 and none of the stuff that you don't like? Or do you think it sucks? Let me know down below in the comments of this video and I will meet you guys down there to chat about it. With that said, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do all that YouTube stuff like the video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more future belligerent amateurness or something. I gotta come up with a better tagline than that. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.